taught that greatness is attained through service. Today we gather in consciousness ideas and thoughts and responses to the concept leadership consciousness. But let's first affirm our statements of truth together, please.
I am a child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now.
So I have 4 questions for you this morning. Why is it that we strive to be leaders? Is it a control issue? And if it is, why do some strive to be in control of not only their lives, but other people's lives too? And my 4th question then is, what is leadership? Leadership has been described as a process of social influence in which one person can enlist the aid and support of others in the accomplishment of a common task. Sounds good, doesn't it? For example, some understand a leader simply as somebody whom people follow, or as somebody who guides or directs others, while others define leadership as organizing a group of people to achieve a common goal. Now, looking at this description of leadership, I think we can easily say that Jesus was a great leader in all aspects of social influence. He truly guided us and directed us toward a common goal. The common goal was Christianity. His teachings reached out to others by the way he spoke and the way he lived. We can agree that people followed him and were influenced by him in the way he spoke and the way he lived, but it was his leadership style of including others. And as great as a leader as Jesus was, Christianity did not stay in that synergy of what he was doing, did it? It expanded out in all different directions with all different types of interpretations about his teachings. So what kind of leadership led us to being divided, to being opinionated, to being so adamant that the way we think it should be is this particular way? And how can we be the best leaders that we can be of these teachings and bring a sense of synergy back to those teachings and a sense of unity for all? Well, I think we first have to go back to the idea of the process of social influence. Social influence occurs when one's emotions, opinions, or behaviors are affected by others. Social influence takes many forms and can be seen in conformity, socialization, peer pressure, obedience, leadership, persuasion, and sales and marketing. So as good as Jesus was in leadership, he still had to deal with the same things we have to deal with. Opinions, emotions, behaviors, that all take us away from that core teaching. And when he had to deal with this, what did he do? He went to the desert to be alone. He went away to regroup and find balance back in his life. And to be a good leader, to be able to be that leader that we want to be, we have to know how to self-care. We have to know how to take that time away, to take that time in the silence, to take some time and just to be. And one of the ways you do that is by coming to church here on Sunday. Another way is maybe gardening. Another way is just to go out and sit on your porch and watch the rain come down. All of those are ways to recenter yourself and find balance. Now, when dealing with this social influence, we have to look at what is lying behind those emotion, opinions, and behaviors. And believe it or not, a Harvard psychologist, Herbert Kellman, in 1958, actually studied the subject and defined 3 expansive ranges of social influence. And they are compliance, identification, and internalization. Compliance is when people appear to agree with others, but actually keep their non-conforming opinions private. Identification is when people are influenced by someone who is liked and respected, such as a famous celebrity. And internalization is when people accept a belief or behavior and agree both publicly and privately. So compliance is what happens in churches all over the world. People sometimes go to church because that's where their family goes, or their friends go, or who's in the know goes there, so they're going there. Maybe they've been raised in that church and they think they have to continue to go to that church. And even if they're not really buying into the message and they're not really agreeing what's being said, they usually keep their opinions to themselves because that's what they think they're supposed to do, and they go along with the norm, they go along with their peers. Identification is when people go to their church and because their minister knows some celebrity or has a connection with someone who is important or is a name dropper of whom all they know. Or maybe even the important person is the minister. You know, that minister's been on TV. They've been on the internet. They've been on the Oprah show. They've been on whatever. And they are the ones that you go to hear their great wisdom. And the question then becomes, are those people leading you to their greatness too? Or are you just sitting on the sidelines watching it all happen? Or do you believe and agree in the message that is being presented and feel moved by what is being taught, and you are compelled to go out and live from these principles? And more importantly, do you want to share your discoveries that you grasp every week? Do you want to go out and share them with others? Well, that's internalization, and I hope that's what you're getting here. You see, I've been in each one of these situations before in my life, and I've been in these spots not only just in church, I've been in them in my life. Number one, I was in Junior League, and Junior League is a great women's organization that does a lot of good for people all over the world. You know, they were the ones who campaigned to bring free milk to the public schools. We wouldn't have free milk today had it not been for Junior League going and giving free milk to schools all over and campaigning to the government about this. However, at one point while I was in Junior League, I got into that idea of the power of leadership. I was on the board, and I wanted to be president. I was eligible and everything. But again, you know, I got into that place where I was just going along with my peers and not really speaking my piece, which I had always done before in the past and had gotten to the place where I was at because I had done that. But when I got into that position, I thought, oh, I'll go along with what everybody's saying because that's how I'm going to get nominated for president. Well, guess what? I didn't get nominated, and that was okay because I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. I was doing it as that compliance of social influence. And I think we all have to admit we can get caught up in that name game, can't we? You know what I mean? You know, like we go to that church because so-and-so is on TV, or they're personal friends with so-and-so, or you know, you can sit there and see them on the internet doing great things, or whatever the case may be. But you know, I've been in that place too, and I can drop a few names right now. See, I've met Eckhart Tolle, and he actually held my hands and looked me straight in the eye and told me thank you, and we hugged. I've been on the elevator and worked at the Miss Teen USA pageant, and been on the elevator with Dick Clark and his wife, and had pictures taken, and you know, stopped outside and we had a long conversation and all that kind of stuff. So there's times that you maybe want to drop those names, but where does that get you? Now in business, I had a hair salon, you know, and the bad thing about the hair business is most of the celebrities are men. And I was out to change that image because I thought we were doing women's hair, and the majority of people in this business are women. Why aren't they the ones that are the celebrities? Well, I decided I was going to be great. So I went to Vidal Sassoon's for training, you know, and that was cool. But a few years prior to that, I was actually on stage with Vidal Sassoon, holding his hand, and he kissed me on the cheek and everything. And I was like, ooh, because, you know, Vidal Sassoon's like the ultimate stylist ever. And then I started teaching hair color classes for a big company, Schwarzkopf. It was the first company to ever make hair color out of Germany. And I worked for them, and I was on platform, you know, teaching my peers how to use hair color. I taught hair and makeup classes for Patricia Stevens, and my first salon was actually in the building with Patricia Stevens. Everybody remembers that, the modeling agency that, you know, everybody that was cool went through. I did hair and makeup for the Miss Kansas pageant, and actually went to Miss America twice and did hair and makeup there for Miss Kansas. I judged the Miss Kansas pageant, the Miss Teen USA pageant, where I met Dick Clark, the Miss Oklahoma pageant. I mean, I've done these things that were trying to make me a celebrity. And people, you know, in Wichita, Kansas, of course, thought I was a celebrity. My salon was busy. I had other people come work for me. I had ended up with the largest salon in Wichita. And my salon was actually featured in two different international magazines. So I was in this place of, you know, really being that celebrity. I won Best Hair Cutter of all of Kansas. I won the best hairstylist for all of North America. You know, I won all these awards, and it was all happening to me out there. And then all of a sudden I stopped and I said, this is not who I am. This does not make me who I am. This is all stuff happening out here, and what good is it doing? But we get caught up in that identification of trying to identify with something else other than who we truly are. And when I stopped and breathed and realized that, whoa, you know, I wanted to be more than just all the activity I had going on and all the awards I won. I wanted to live in that place where I knew I was living from who I truly am, a spiritual being. And that was a huge shift for me. It was a huge shift in my spiritual journey. It was a huge shift in my self-awareness. And it has brought me to this now moment. Now you have to think about this though, and that was internalization. Each one of you here are leaders. You're all leaders. We stand in truth and we have our opinions, we have our ideas, we have our emotions, and we have our behaviors. And when we come together in unity and we can trust each other, which I think we are building that here to be able to trust each other, we truly express as leaders. And we express from that place of love. And then what happens is we can all be successful and we can all create this environment that's going to allow everybody to come and be who they are and come from that place, and we'll see them all as celebrities, each and every one of you. And the cool thing that happens in this whole process of realizing that is that it shifts our consciousness. And once we shift our consciousness, we're in that leadership consciousness. We're in that place where we are lifting up each other and holding each other in that light and love of God. Fillmore stated from Adam's Passion and Power of Mind, there is great need of leadership under the Christ whose banner is love. This is when we really rally together and we build our teams and that can support this ministry in all phases of its service. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before, 12 of us, 12 from this church went to Atlanta Unity for UMAS's free leadership training, and it was incredible that we were amongst ministers, licensed Unity teachers, and other congregants, and we came together to learn how to do the business of church better. And for those that went with us, I think that they all felt and realized that they gained some insight and felt empowered by what they could bring back to this ministry. At least I hope they did. And we want to keep that momentum going because we want to continue to invite and include and empower people in this journey that we have of building this church to be the best it can be, to be that place in consciousness where we are lifting the consciousness for the world. And as we grow our teams and we take those teams that are in place and we expand on that, I want you to think about the acronym for TEAM. Together, everyone achieves, it should have an S, more. And that is true. Because when we are raising that consciousness, together we can do that. Together we can invite people to join us. Together we can include those who want to join us by allowing them to help us fulfill our duties on these volunteer teams. We can feel empowered by making this ministry successful. Myrtle Fillmore, most of her writings are responses to people, sending in a question. And so when you read her books, they're awesome, but they're also this response to questions and concerns people had. So I want to share this with you. And just picture Myrtle saying this, or writing this. But dear, I am inclined to feel that we all must arrive at the place where we do as Jesus did, when he saw that so many demands were made upon him for help that he could not give himself fully enough to what the Father was directing him to do. He asked Spirit to show him men or women in whom dwelt the qualities that could be developed to make them successful healers, teachers, and leaders. Then, whether there was anything in the life or attitude of the prospective worker to indicate his readiness or even his willingness to change his occupation or to take up spiritual training, Jesus approached him and spoke of his conviction and asked the man to follow him. He didn't seem to have much difficulty in getting a group of men to drop what they were engaged in, to take up with eagerness and devotion and diligence the things he considered necessary to success in spiritual service. That's what we're looking at in this church. For us to be able to concentrate and move forward on that spiritual journey, we need people who are willing to be on that train with us. People who are willing to step forward in leadership and in volunteering and helping make this ministry successful. In 2 weeks, we're going to have 5 new prayer chaplains. Woohoo! That brings us up to 8 prayer chaplains. A beautiful thing. They're going through training right now. We start new members classes today, and I think we're going to have 5 or 6 people in the new members classes, which will bring our number up to 36 or 7 that we have inducted since Warren and I have started here in 2.5 years. And we are growing this ministry, and we are trying to make this a better place. And the way we do it is to empower all of you as leaders, because you all are. You all come with all you need to be all that we need in ministry. And when we do this, we grow consciousness. Jesus called forth his disciples, and Reverend Warren and I are calling forth each of you as leaders who are willing to grow and build this ministry in consciousness. And that's what we're looking at. When you start building in consciousness, the volunteering, the service that Myrtle's talking about, that Jesus brought forth from those disciples, from anyone else that came and followed him, it's the same thing. It happens when your consciousness shifts. So I have a question for you. Who amongst you are ready to stand for this purpose? If you are willing to stand to raise consciousness for this ministry, I would ask you to please stand right now. Reverend Warren's up there waving and standing. And if you're willing to stand and be in this, I would ask you to affirm with me this.
I am a smart enough leader to know it takes all of us to build a ministry that will feed each of us for what we need. I am willing to be that leader in consciousness. I am willing to be invited, included, and empowered.
Thank you for that. And everybody stood, and I'm so pleased. Now, if you're not sure how you can serve, or you're not sure what you want to do, or you're just not even that clear, we have a new volunteer coordinator since the training, which is Pat Babb. Stand up, Pat, and wave. She has agreed to be our volunteer coordinator. And so she can help you with this. And here's a list of our teams. We have the greeters team, hospitality team, youth ed team, sunshine team, buildings grounds team, prayer chaplains, wellness calls team, audiovisual team, bookstore, Sunday flower team, historical photo team, social media team, finance team, music team, and board of trustees. If you are a team leader for one of these teams, would you please stand? Or if you're the board liaison too. So let's throw that in there. All right. Now, if you're currently serving on one of these teams, would you please stand? And maybe you're serving on 2 teams. I'm not sure. All right. Thank you all. Let's give them all a round of applause. Music team. Okay.
No, standing.
I didn't see. Out of the corner of my eye, I didn't see. Well, okay. So any one of these people that you just saw are willing to invite you and include you and empower you to be on one of their teams, because it's going to take all of us to make this all happen and to grow. I want to celebrate everything that everybody's done and what you're doing and what you're willing to do in the future. And I want to say that we can all stand together to work to be the best leaders in consciousness that we can be. Yes, you are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Thank you for being here today. God bless you.